September 11th, 2001. Nearly 3,000 people died in a single morning. But what happened after that quietly reshaped the entire world. I'm not here to explain how 9/11 happened. I'm here to talk about something far more uncomfortable. Who made billions from it? My name is Mike Joberg. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I didn't see this story from a news desk. I saw it from the inside of the war, and what I learned was this. After 9/11, war didn't just become policy. It became one of the most profitable businesses on Earth. In the weeks after the attacks, America was united. Flags were everywhere. Recruitment offices were overflowing. I was a Marine recruiter in Tampa, Florida. People weren't asking questions. They wanted revenge. And while the country was focused on grief and fear, other things were happening in Washington. The government opened the gates of a financial dam. Congress approved trillions of dollars under something called the War on Terror. And when that much money is released that fast, it doesn't go to soldiers first. It goes to contractors. Entirely new agencies appeared overnight. Homeland Security, TSA, intelligence offices, all of them needed. Buildings, equipment, security, logistics. And so the contracts began. These companies lined up. Halliburton, KBR, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. These weren't normal contracts. They were cost-plus contract, meaning the more you spend, the more you make. Overspending wasn't a failure. It was a business model. Afghanistan made sense to most Americans. That's where Al-Qaeda was. But less than 2 years later, the target changed. Suddenly, Iraq was the enemy. Weapons of mass destruction. Links to terrorism. None of it turned out to be true. But by then, something else was already in motion. Defense budgets had exploded. Reconstruction contracts had been written. Energy and logistics companies had positioned themselves. War was no longer just retaliation. It was an industry. Iraq holds one of the largest oil reserves in the world. Before the invasion, Western companies had almost no access to it. After 2003, that completely changed. Energy companies, engineering firms, and military contractors flooded in, protected by U.S. troops, paid for by U.S. taxpayers. By 2004, the war was no longer being fought only with soldiers. It was being fought with invoices. Halliburton and its subsidiary KBR made more than $50 billion from a single logistics contract. Private security firms signed deals worth billions. Defense company stock prices doubled and tripled. Wall Street treated war like a growth sector. Meanwhile, the government borrowed money it didn't have to keep the system running. When I went to Iraq, the truth became impossible to ignore. We drove vehicles with scrap metal welded on as armor. At the same time, entire airfields were filled with unused supplies that were burned because it was cheaper than redistributing them. Projects existed on paper, but not on the ground. Schools that were never built, power plants that didn't work, roads that collapsed within months. The money was moving, but it wasn't going where it was supposed to. That's when everything became clear. We weren't just fighting a war. We were sustaining an economic system. A system where fear justifies spending. Spending makes corporations rich. And chaos keeps the contracts flowing. Because when profit is built on war, peace is bad for business. Between 2001 and 2020, more than $8 trillion was spent. Nearly 15,000 American service members and contractors were killed. Hundreds of thousands of civilians died. And today the Pentagon's budget is higher than it was at the peak of the wars. The war ended. The money didn't. Imagine if even a small fraction of that money had gone to healthcare, education, infrastructure, veterans, instead of endless contracts and stock buybacks. That's what still keeps me up at night. Because when a nation turns tragedy into a business, the bill always comes due. If you found this eye-opening, leave a comment below. This is History of Money, and these are the truths they don't tell you. Thank you for watching.